Hello, my amazing Sarah. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I am doing great, Elijah. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Beautiful, and thank you too so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Sarah, oftentimes I love to thank my guests for two things, and I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, Sarah, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invested in yourself. And oftentimes here I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. Say some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Sarah, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, after some couple of months, after some periods there, I was on that same road. And this time around, the tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately, I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it. Beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, Sarah. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day. I was so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Sarah that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing. Just like I mentioned earlier, your insights, your
Mm.
philosophies, the impact your work is having, and how you're offering your solutions. These stuffs are beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, yeah, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from the beautiful things Sarah is doing, and not only me now, but even with the audience. And here we had a day with the amazing Sarah. So thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much.
Elijah, thank you. I am someone who believes that people are brought together for a reason. And in this case, I feel like everything that you have just said to me and about me is actually a reflection back to you.
Mm.
So thank you. To me, you are the mango tree. Thank you for investing in yourself. And I think it's beautiful when two people come together who can witness each other. So
Beautiful. That's
thank
so
you.
true. Thank you too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Awesome, Sarah. So let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today for two reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful
Mhm.
one, Sarah, I believe it takes the application of knowledge with information. And not just knowledge now, but the application of it. And you see, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Sarah on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, high-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Sarah, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Sarah, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Sarah got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Sarah, over to you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Elijah. So it's interesting to try to think of who oneself is, because there are so many ways to answer that question. But Professionally, I am a business owner. I am a CEO. I have been for about 20 years of my family's business, and I have the privilege of serving my community and state in a variety of ways through board leadership and community engagement. And I have a beautiful family, a husband, and a 20-year-old daughter. And I spend most of my life going really, really, really fast and trying to achieve more and more and never really feeling satisfied. I would achieve something that I was really thought that that was going to be the end of everything and that was going to make me feel whole. And I would achieve it and I wouldn't necessarily feel whole. And I had an experience in 2020 with the passing of my stepfather that opened me to a world of spirituality, soulfulness, what is unseen that exists around us and actually transcends the distance between us, you in West Africa, me in Vermont in the US. And I realized that there was a lot to discover within myself in connection to everything else. So today, I call myself a CEO turned soul explorer because that has taken such a strong role in my life and is now integrated into everything that I do.
Amazing. Beautiful one. So I'm going to pick the first question from there because I'm curious right now. So how has your path changed from CEO to Soul Explorer? Can you give us some more details?
Yeah, of course. So, um, when my stepfather passed away, I heard a message from him, and in my dreams I would see him. I would hear from him in a variety of ways, and received validation about that. About a year later. And so through this time, just being open to the possibility that his soul was still alive and existing somewhere, even though he had passed, made me open up to a whole bunch of other things. So I began to write words in the middle of the night. I've written about 3,000 poems, and they've guided my life. And now it is how do I stand as this soulful person who believes in our the goodness and beauty in every single person in that mango tree, in you and me, and still be a business person who is, chairing a board of CEOs or chairing a college board? Or how do I integrate this professional and this spiritual and soulful? Because usually those two worlds aren't connected. We don't talk about our souls when we're sitting at a board table or a corporate table. So, because I have the privilege of being in those spaces, I now feel like I have a responsibility to be all of myself in every space.
Amazing. And I got that. Okay, so what about this one? What does separateness mean and how can we heal it?
Can you repeat that question for me? I am sorry,
Okay,
Elisha.
okay. I
Cut
said,
out. Which word?
yeah,
Yes.
separateness. Separateness. Got
Oh,
it?
separateness. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you very much. I got it. I think that we see ourselves as separate often, separate from everything, separate from the laptop that's in front of us, separate from the person who's in front of us, separate from even our family. We're looking around, and we're either seeing things that are like or not like us in our mind. But to me, we've become so divided and separate that we have lost what unites us. And it's actually, to me, the reason for much of our sadness. And ultimately, to me, the thing we're most separate from is actually ourselves. Because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know that inside of me was this infinite well, that inside me was the higher, was the most high. Inside me was divinity. And that same thing lies inside of every single person and connects us. And I think that if we were able to overcome that idea of separateness or the idea that we needed to be something different than we actually are, that to me is the healing for the entire world. Because instead of trying to become, we recognize that we already are. And then we're just in joy with each other.
Powerful words. And I got that.
Thank
I got that. Okay,
you.
so you talk about pressure as more than just stress. All right. So where do you think this constant internal pressure really comes from?
I mean, I think pressure comes from a very young age. You know, there are pressures all around us from society that tell us who we have to be. Society tells us who we have to be as a woman, who we should be as a man. Society tells us that we should try to acquire money as much as we can. So we're in this constant searching for more and more financial resources. There are so many pressures around us that take us away from ourselves. And I think that that only builds, you know, with there are amazing things with technology and social media that enable you and I to have this conversation right now. But it also continues to pressurize because we see a world outside of ourselves that may look different than what we feel. It may look beautiful. Someone's vacationing in Morocco and I wish I could be there right now. You know, it makes us feel that we need to be something different. And so that pressure is just amplifying until we, to me, take the time to sit with ourselves in prayer, meditation, spaciousness, whatever you want to call it, so that we can actually begin to hear who we are, because that's when the pressure begins to abate. Because there isn't really, I don't think, pressure deep within us. I think the pressure comes from outside of us.
Outside of us. Hmm, I got
Mhm.
that. Okay, so what would you say to someone who is afraid of their dream? Saying their dream is too much. What would you say to someone like
Mm.
that?
Mm. I would say that 6 years ago, I believed that certain things were impossible. And I thought that um, I would never have imagined that I would become a poet or a podcast host myself. I would never have imagined any of it. But what I've learned is that our minds are limited. Our minds can't even perceive the dreams that are possible for us. So, no dream is too much. And I would even argue that it is time for all of us to dream the impossible, to actually dream beyond big, to almost dream beyond too much, because that is where our world begins to change, when our impossible dreams begin to take action.
Hmm. When our impossible dreams begin to take action. Okay, I got that. So, there is something I believe that is so inevitable. And listening to how you speak and how experience you are, what you do, it's amazing. So, and the thing is challenges. How have you been able to handle this tough moment? How are you able to overcome this period when things aren't going really fine? Can you tell us about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I know. You know, that is challenging sometimes. And I'll be honest, it's challenging sometimes to connect with other people because it may appear that I don't care about the challenges that exist around us. And I do. I think that I have a faith and belief in something bigger and greater than myself, and bigger and greater than all that I see and all the discord that I see around me. And I try to sit in that place and use the strength of that place to actually hold love and hope and kindness, because that to me is going to actually change the chaos and the difficulty that I see in the world. I think if every single person individually began to see themselves through that lens and started to see the outer world through that lens, I think the world would change, because the world changes with the individual. So it is every single one of us actually has the power to change what we see around us. Yeah.
Mm, mm, that's so true. Okay, let's talk about why do high performing people often feel weighed down even when they're successful?
Mm. Um, I think because the pressure that we talked about, there's a tremendous amount of pressure in performance because it's performance. And sometimes that performance is may not be in alignment with who you are. It may be for the outside world, and you're responsible for a lot. When you're high performing, for me, when I was in leadership positions, I'm responsible to, in my head, for all of the people who work with us, all of the people who are doing the tough job day in and day out. And that high performance is really insatiable. It just keeps on going. It's really, really fast. And oftentimes we don't stop. We don't stop. We keep going, going, going. We eat our meals, but we stop and go to sleep maybe, but we're not stopping. And so that load upon the high performer is fairly extreme because they don't allow themselves to pause and to stop. And that's when you really are able to hear yourself. Yeah.
The Lord. Okay, I got
Yes.
that. So you say presence is the new currency of leadership. What does that mean?
Mm. You know, it's interesting because as leaders, we have to see around corners, we have to anticipate the future and learn from the mistakes of our past. So we are in the past and the future to a certain degree. However, the present is really where all the answers lie. There's nowhere else to be but right now. And to me, I love this woman named Bosma St. John. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she is her family's from Ghana, and she was a marketing officer here in a bunch of U.S. companies. And she talks about living wide instead of just living long. Living long is sort of the past and the future. It's linear. Whereas she has this desire to live every moment as wide and as big as possible. And to me, presence allows us to live wide. And so when we're leading, that allows us to make the most of every situation that we're in for both the people that we're leading, the organizations that we're leading, and for ourselves. When we're always focused with what's coming next, I think we're missing the beauty that exists in right now. And so our people are forced to miss that as well.
Um, you see, this is very eye-opening and really, really educated. And I love how you're
Thanks.
answering those questions. You're making it very easy to understand. So we have one more to go. Okay. So how
Sure.
can we access presence when our nervous systems are stuck in overdrive?
Yeah. I think that's where we really have to start paying attention to ourselves. And when I say that, it doesn't require a tremendous amount of time, but our bodies tell us a lot about how we're feeling and how we're functioning, but we don't really listen to it. So for me, that presence of sitting in one moment and just for 2 minutes, doing absolutely nothing, but seeing what arises from my body, from my thoughts, the way that I'm feeling, that presence alone will tell us and start to move us to a space of understanding, connection, etc. But we have to take the time to hear ourselves and to sit in that presence, because otherwise we're running ourselves all the way to the end, all the way to our own passing and death, without having noticed even where we are, without taking the most that we possibly can out of life.
We have to take our time to sit with ourselves
Yes.
and listen to ourselves. I got
Yes.
that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So to bring this to an end, Sarah, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who like
Mm,
to reach out to you, learn more about the wonderful stuff you're doing, open your services or programs, how can that be possible?
well, thank you. I think my message to every person is to just be who you are. It's actually pretty simple. There's nothing more that we're supposed to do in this life other than be us, because we each have unique gifts to share with the world. And the world needs us. The world needs us to do it. I am happy to connect with anyone via my website, which is sarasbyers.com. But you can also follow along with my poetry and thought leadership on Instagram at Dear Joy Love. Yes. Thank you,
Okay,
Elijah.
beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Sarah. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elijah. It's wonderful.